Hello and Assalamu alaikum everyone. A very warm welcome to the Advanced Audit and Assurance Webinar to Success for December 2021 exams. I am your tutor, Kashif Kamran. Welcome to the day 4 of the Webinar to Success. And just like the previous 3 days, we have a very exciting and a very important agenda for the Webinar to Success. Let's see what's the agenda for the day 4. Now, over the last 3 days in particular, we have focused on the study planner. We have focused on the recent changes in the syllabus. We've also focused on the practice platform and creating awareness of the practice platform. On the second day, we focused on business risk and risk of material misstatement. And on the third day, yesterday, our focus was about professional issues, how to pick up professional issues from a case study, and the quality control issues as well. Now, today, we are moving towards the day 4, which is the drill on the audit report. We'll be focusing on the section B today, day 4, and we'll be focusing on a question which comes on the audit report. Let's start the day 4. So right here, we are in day 4, and the day 4 of the webinar to success, focusing on completion and reporting, which is the syllabus area E. I hope if you attended my day 1 of the webinar, I did guide you that the syllabus area E is a very fundamental syllabus area, and it will come in any of the questions in section B. You cannot see a AAA paper without a syllabus area E. So syllabus area E is a very core area, a very fundamental area, and a very important area of the AAA syllabus. And one question has to be on it in section B, either 2 or 3. So this is an area just like risk assessment, right? Which you cannot ignore, and which is to be a fundamental part of your paper. So let's see what you need to know about completion and reporting, and how would you prepare yourself to be successful in this area. Let's start on with the proceedings. Okay, just let me take on my Word file quickly, or rather, let's first put out the agenda. Okay, just a bit of correction. You just need to ensure this is the day 4, not the day 3. So just need to make that correction here. I'll make the correction when I'll put the presentation to you. So agenda for day 4, right? Completion and reporting stage. And the articles, exam technique article part 5. I hope you are familiar with the exam technique article. So this is a wonderful article which guides you about how you write a good answer for reporting. So this is a technique article, right? Then there is a good article, which is an audit report, not to the shareholder, but the audit report to those charged with governance. And this is a very important article because we've seen that in the March-June 19 exam, examiner tested a question on the communication to those charged with governance. So you cannot deny that. And you should read this article, and you should know what sort of matters the auditor communicate to those charged with governance. And I'll show you a glimpse of that question in my session today, which came in the March-June 19 exams from the article, which is audit report to those charged with governance. We'll do the analysis of the examiner criticism, and we'll be going over 3 questions on a scattered basis. Question number 2B from the March-June 19 exams, question number 2B from the March 20 exams, and the December 17 question number 5B. So 3 questions, we'll be going over them, not completing them, but just going over them, building up the concepts so that you can do them as your home assignments. So you need to complete the questions from the webinar today as your home assignments, and you need to watch the previous webinars recommended. So this is the agenda for the day 4 of the webinar. Now, for the audit report, which webinars you should be watching alongside this webinar to success, I would recommend that you watch the June 21 webinar, the March 21 webinar, and the December 20 webinar. The hyperlinks are given, and which questions have been covered in these webinars have also been given. In the June 21 webinar, I've covered the June 19 question number 2, And I've covered the December 18 question on the going concern. In the March 21 webinar, I've covered the December 20 question and the September 18 question. So recent papers. If you look at the recent papers from September 18 onwards, I've covered 4 of them in the June 21 and March 21 webinar. In the December 20 webinar, I covered the December 17 question, which I'm doing again today from a different perspective. And again, the March, June 19 question, because it's a very important question. And then I did the going concern question from December 13 exams. So you will get plenty of practice on every type of question on reporting. If you watch the 3 previous webinars, you get plenty of knowledge, because in every webinar on reporting, I've covered knowledge about opinions, about key audit matter, about emphasis of a matter paragraph, about material uncertainty relating to going concern. So you should watch the previous webinar, because they will be an ideal resource for you to accumulate your knowledge ahead of the December 21 exams. So 3 webinars plus this one, the webinar to success, will be best for your preparation on audit report. So that is the agenda for the day 4. Now, just before starting day 4, I just want to take on my Word file now and need to write something down for you on the Word file before we come back to the presentation. I hope in front of your screen, you can see the day 4 Word file. Please confirm that. Okay, thank you so much. Let's see what is the objective and learning outcomes today. Okay, definitely the objective today is audit report and the completion stage of audit. And we're looking into the syllabus area E basically, right? Syllabus area E of the syllabus. And we know that as a student, you should understand from the very first day of my webinar that the syllabus area E, one of the question in section B will, one of the question in section B is from syllabus area E. So this is extremely important, right? Now, it can be question number 2. In some exam settings, we have seen question 2 as a syllabus area E. And in some exam settings, we have seen it as question number 3. So section B, one of the question has to be from syllabus area E. So it's an extremely important topic for your success, right? So this is an extremely important topic for your success, just like risk assessment. Okay, now let's see what you need to gain from this topic today. And how would you be going about preparing this topic from your exam perspective? Now, first of all, when we look at audit report, before we come to the questions of audit report, listen to me very carefully. When we look at the audit report, as a student, there are so much misconceptions with audit report. You really mess up the question on audit report, which comes in the AAA paper. Either you don't understand the question, or you understand partially the question, or you try to overlook something very important in the question, and you really spoil the answer of a reporting question. A lot of students really mess up the opinions. When they have to give a qualified opinion, they give an adverse opinion, or when they have to give an unqualified opinion, they give a qualified opinion. When they have to give a key audit matter, they give an emphasis of a matter paragraph. When they have to give a material uncertainty relating to a going concern paragraph, they issue a qualified opinion. So students really do a mess of reporting question. Why? The first reason is that you are not very clear about the rules and regulations of the audit report, right? So to be good in audit report, you should be very good at rules. You should be very good at rules. You should be very good when what comes. You should be very good at rules. Which rules? You should be very good at rules of unqualified opinion. You should be very good at rules of qualified opinion. You should be very good at rules of adverse opinion. You should be very good at rules of disclaimer of opinion. And I've covered them in my previous webinars, right? Because these webinars are not knowledge. These webinars are just techniques, guidelines, making a right strategy for you. And then you have to read the articles. Then you have to go into the books to find the solutions, right? So you should be very good at the rules for unqualified opinion, qualified opinions, adverse opinion, disclaimer of opinions. Now we know these are the opinions, right? Where you have to be very good. The 4 types of opinions, right? So you should be very good at them. Now, more importantly, we know there are so many paragraphs in the audit report beside opinions, and you should be so very good at the paragraphs in the audit report. The paragraphs like material uncertainty relating to going concern, material uncertainty relating to going concern, which is also known as MURGC. So you should be aware of when this paragraph comes in the audit report. You should also be familiar with key audit meta, which is a paragraph in the audit report of a listed company. You should also be familiar with emphasis of a meta paragraph. You should also be familiar with other meta paragraph. You should also be familiar with other information paragraph. So many paragraphs in the report. Now, you need to self-appraise yourself, everyone. And you need to ask a question to yourself today, that how good you are in opinions and how good you are in paragraphs. And if you think you are weak, then you have to watch the previous webinars. And you also need to revisit the books, because the book will tell you the knowledge about opinions and paragraph. I think the articles will not be complete to give you the knowledge. The articles are mostly about techniques. The articles are mostly about communication to those charged with governance. So I think that if some student is weak in opinions and paragraphs, you need to revisit the book as a recommendation, right? So you should ask a question to yourself, where are you standing in terms of opinions and where are you standing in terms of paragraphs? Number 1. Number 2, you should also be knowing the types of audit reports. How many types of audit reports are there? There are 2 types of audit reports, right? One is known as the unmodified audit report, and one is known as a modified audit report. There are 2 types of audit reports, right? A modified report and an unmodified report. Now you need to understand as a student that what makes the report, what is the literal meaning of the word unmodified and what is the literal meaning of the word modified. Now look at the opinions, look at the paragraphs. Now, when you look at the terminology modified means to change, and to change from the standard audit report. So first of all, you should be familiar with the terminology. What is the meaning of the word modified? What is the meaning of the term modified? Then only you can understand what is a modified report and be clear for exam paper. Now listen to this very carefully, because I just want to put a quick 30 minutes on knowledge. We'll move to the past papers. What is the meaning of the term modified? Modified means to change from the standard audit report. So if you change from the standard audit report, then that change will be known as a modified audit report. Now the change can be the change in opinion. The change can be the change in the paragraph. Now, first of all, try to understand this change. Change can be in form of. A change of opinion, and a change can be in the form of a paragraph inserted in the audit report, which is not part of the standard report. You insert a paragraph in the report, which is not part of the standard report. So a paragraph inserted, which is not part of the standard report, or there is a change of opinion, which a change of opinion or a change of, sorry, modifying the opinion. That is either qualified, adverse, or disclaimer. Because when you look at the standard report contains what? The standard report contains the unqualified opinion. So if you change the opinion from an unqualified opinion, are you making a change? If you change the unqualified opinion, are you making a change from the standard report, everyone? Right? So when you change, that's modified. So unqualified opinion is part of a standard report. Agree, disagree? Unqualified opinion is part of a standard report. In our opinion, the financial statement gives a true and fair view. So when you change from an unqualified opinion to a qualified opinion, when you change from an unqualified opinion to an adverse opinion or to a disclaimer of opinion, is that a change? And change means modified. So when you modify the opinion, or when you insert a paragraph, so which three opinions makes the report modified? Which three opinions makes the report modified? Adverse, qualified, disclaimer, right? A paragraph inserted in the report, which is not part of the standard report. Now you should know which of the paragraphs here are part of the standard report. Because if you know which of the paragraphs are part of the standard report, then you exactly know which of the paragraphs will be inserted. The key audit matter is part of the standard report. So this is, if you put a key audit matter in the exam paper, it will not modify the report because key audit matter is part of the standard report, right? Other information paragraph is part of the standard report. So these are static paragraphs, right? Key audit matter, this is a static paragraph. Other information paragraph is a static paragraph. Now imagine, look at the screen in front of you. Now tell me which paragraphs are inserted, either the MURGC paragraph or the emphasis of a meta paragraph or the other meta paragraph, right? So there are two paragraphs which are default. Key audit matter is a default paragraph in a listed company report. And the other information paragraph is a default paragraph in a listed company as well as a non-listed company report. Is that clear to all of you? MURGC is a conditional paragraph. It can come, it cannot come. Emphasis of a meta paragraph is a conditional paragraph. Other meta paragraph is a conditional paragraph. So which paragraphs are part of the standard report out of 5? How many paragraphs are part of the standard report out of 5? 2. So will those paragraphs modify the report? Will those 2 paragraphs modify the report? No. But which paragraphs will modify the report? The 3. So a paragraph inserted in the audit report, which is not part of the audit report, that is which paragraphs? Number 1, let's copy them from here. Material uncertainty relating to going concern, number 1. Number 2, emphasis and other meta, 2 and 3. Take them down here. So these 3 paragraphs. Will you remember? So now can we conclude there are 6 things which can modify the report? Is that easy for you to remember for exam paper? There are 6 things which can modify the report. 3 opinions and 3 paragraphs. Look at this. 3 opinions and 3 paragraphs. So if any of the 3 opinion is given in the exam paper, will that lead to a modified report? Right? And if any of the 3 paragraphs is given in the exam paper, will that lead to a modified report? Right? So is that easy? Remember, Remember 6 things which make a report modified. Remember 6 things which make a report modified. What are 6 things which makes the report modified? Quickly. Number 1, just give me 1 second. Number 1 is the qualified opinion. Number 2 is an adverse opinion. Number 3 is a disclaimer of opinion. And number 4, 5, 6 is what? Sorry, just let me correct the spelling. Disclaimer of opinion. And the remaining 3 are the paragraphs. Let's bring the paragraphs here. 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, and 6. Is that easy for you to learn this in the shortest possible time? The 6 things to remember for exam paper, which will result in a modified report. So if in the exam paper you say, thus the auditor should issue a qualified opinion. So will a qualified opinion leads to a modified report? Thus the auditor should issue an adverse opinion. Will it lead to a modified report? Very good. Now, if the auditor issue an emphasis of a meta paragraph, will it lead to a modified report? Okay, if the auditor issue another meta paragraph, will it lead to a modified report? Very good. Now look at the situation here. When you look at the past papers, you will be amazed if you don't know this. When you look at the past paper, there is a requirement which comes in the past paper very frequently in the reporting question. I hope you will understand this now. The requirement asks you, explain the impact on the audit opinion and on the audit report. Look at this requirement. This requirement is asking for, explain the impact on the audit opinion, number 1, and the impact on the audit report, number 2. So this requirement is asking you to do 2 things. Number 1, this requirement is asking you that you should write an impact on the opinion. Number 2, you should write an impact on the report. Now, if one student just inform the examiner of the opinion, not the report, will he get full marks? No. If you just inform the opinion, not the report, will you get full marks for this question? No. To get the full marks, you need to tell examiner the opinion and the impact on the report. So is the examiner asking that I want to know the impact first on the opinion, then I want to know the impact on the, I want to know the impact on the report. Is that clear to all of you? Now let me guide you. Let me guide you clearly. Let's take this on the next page. Just give me some space to move in. Okay. Now, when you get a requirement like such is asking for 2 things, how would you proceed to your answer? You will first tell examiner, for example, number 1, you will tell examiner the issue above, because it's immaterial, will result in an unqualified opinion, This will lead to an unmodified report. Look at my sentence here. Have I done justice with the requirement? I'm telling examiner, for example, the issue above is immaterial. Because it's immaterial, it will result in an unqualified opinion, right? Have I tell examiner the opinion? And because it's an unqualified opinion, so this will lead down to an unmodified report. Have I got my full marks? Right? Look at the next one. The issue above, because it's material but not pervasive, will lead to a qualified opinion, full stop. This will lead to This will lead to what? Tell me. This will lead to, very good. This will lead to a modified audit report. Now, how many times as a student, you just focus on opinion, not on the report? When the question is asking you impact on opinion and the audit report, impact on opinion and the audit report. So you need to tell examiner the opinion and you need to tell examiner the type of the report. Are you clear, everyone? Are you clear, everyone? So how many times you overlook this requirement and the student thinks, oh, examiner is just asking for an opinion. Examiner is just asking for an opinion. No, examiner is not just asking for an opinion. He's also asking for the audit report. So will you carefully read the requirement, everyone? Will you carefully read the requirement, everyone? Right? Okay, look at the second situation. Look at the second situation. This is not, I'm not giving you the way of writing the answer. I'm just giving you the way to understand the requirements, everyone, right? So please understand this within the limitation. Look at the second requirement. The second requirement which comes in the exam paper asks you, explain the impact of the matters above, whatever the matters are above. Explain the impact of the matters above on the audit opinion. Question mark. Now, that definitely means that the matters given above in the case study, just let me take out the inking process here. Now that means that the matters above in the case study will result in only the opinions. Does that means by looking at this requirement, are you sure that none of the matter above will result in a paragraph? Tell me. By looking at this requirement, are you pretty sure that none of the matter above will result in a paragraph? Because the examiner is saying matters above on the audit opinion. Now, if a student writes in the answer that the auditor should issue a CAM, the auditor should issue a other matter paragraph, the auditor should issue an emphasis of a matter paragraph. So is the examiner telling you that the matters above will only affect the opinion? So either the answer will be unqualified opinion, the answer will be qualified opinion, the answer will be adverse opinion, the answer will be a disclaimer of opinion, right? Is that clear to all of you? So if you read the question carefully, half of your tension can be reduced. Now, if I am reading a question which says opinion, that means in the entire case study, in the entire case, the situations will only reflect opinions. The situations given in the case study, will only be impacting the opinions, right? Will not be impacting the paragraphs. Agree, disagree? So some situations might result into qualified opinion. Some situation might result in an unqualified opinion. Some situation might result in a disclaimer of opinion, and so on and so forth. But am I thinking about paragraphs in this situation? So is reading the requirement important? Tell me, everyone. Okay, listen to this very carefully. Number one. Now, such a requirement is telling you that the situations above will only result in an impact on opinion. So you should not think of paragraphs. So will you be thinking about CAM, other matter, other information, MURGC? Will you be thinking about that? No, not at all. You will just be focusing on 4 opinions and try to find the best one. So now such a requirement is telling you that the situation above will only result in an impact on opinion. So you should not think about paragraph, rather just keep in mind the 4 types of opinions, which I've given you above, right? Unqualified, qualified, adverse, disclaimer. and you need to judge which opinion is better for every matter given above. So if there is 3 matters A, B, C, so you need to judge what opinion will come in the matter A, what opinion will come in the matter B, what opinion will come in the matter C. Right? Now look at this requirement. Explain the impact of the matters above, comma, on the audit report. Now look at this question. Now tell me, is this question broader than the previous question? Because the previous question was just asking you opinion and matters. Now this question is asking you matters, but this question is asking you the matters and how will they impact on the audit report. Is audit report a broader terminology than audit opinion? Agree, disagree? Is this audit report a broader terminology than audit opinion? How many things are included in an audit report? In an audit report, 2 things are included. Number 1, opinion. Number 2, paragraphs. But if the examiner says audit opinion, then how many things are included in the audit opinions? Just 4 opinions, right? So if the examiner is saying audit report and you are preparing yourself as a student, so see how can you be a good student. Now you should think even before reading the case, you should think even before reading the matters in the case, that there could be a possibility that some of the matters above could be reflected in the paragraph, not opinions. Is that right? So you should think even before reading the matters in the case that there is a possibility that some of the matters above could be reflected in a paragraph, not opinions. And it could be a possibility that all the matters above are reflected in opinions. So examiner is just dodging you with the requirement audit report. I've seen so many questions in the past paper where even the examiner has used the terminology audit report, but all the matters, interestingly, were reflected in opinions. But should you keep a mindset when you look at the word audit report that it can consist of an opinion and can consist of the paragraph? But can it be a possibility that when you read the matters, all of them are opinions? Or when you read the matters, all of them are paragraphs? But are you understanding the difference between an audit opinion and an audit report? Right? So will you be clear with these terminologies in exam paper? I hope you are getting some guidance from these terminologies. If I just make a summary of these terminologies, if you get a terminology in the exam paper, impact on opinion. So you're just thinking about 4 types of opinion within the context of case, right? Or if the question asks you impact on audit report, then you are thinking about whether in the case are there any matters which can be reflected in para as well, not just opinions. But if the question asks you impact on opinion and the audit report, are you clear with this question as well? Have I made clarity on this question as well? A question asking both together. Impact on opinion and the audit report means you first need to inform the opinion and then tell what type of report will the auditor issue, whether modified or unmodified. So is all the 3 requirements discussed with you? Impact on opinion, I hope I discussed that with you. I hope I discussed with you the impact on the audit report. And I hope I discussed with you the impact on opinion and the audit report coming together. That was the very first thing we discussed, right? So is everyone clear between opinion and a report? How many times when you do the past paper, honestly tell me, you try to differentiate between them? Honestly tell me. No, 2 is only Zayan. 2 is the one I just given you here. Look at these examples I've given you. I've given you one requirement which asks for both together, right? Explain the impact on the opinion and on the audit report. Look at the first requirement, Zayan, on the screen now. The opinion and the audit report. So that is one requirement which comes accumulative. And I've given you the answer for that, Zayan. The second requirement asks you, explain the impact of the matters on the audit opinion. That's the second situation, right, Zayan? And the third situation is asking you, explain the impact of the matters above on the audit report. So when the question asks you impact of the matter on the audit report, you need to think broadly. When the question asks you opinion, you need to think narrowly. So there are three types of questions. Yes, the similarities are there, but you need to pick the three types of questions which comes in the past paper. Right, exactly. There is a similarity between 2 and 3, but try to understand that you need to pick the context very well, right? Yes, Hamza, in the point 2, we're just focusing on the report. So that means in the question, there will be no opinions. But in the point 3, we are focusing on the opinion and the impact of the opinion on the audit report, right? So if there is a qualified opinion, what will be the impact on the report? If there is an unqualified opinion, what is the impact on the report? So if you look at the point number 3, the point number 3 is just focusing on the opinion, right? And the impact of the opinion on the report. So in the point number 3, will you be thinking about any paragraphs? Tell me. In the point number 3, will you be thinking about any paragraphs? No. In the point number 2, will you be thinking about the paragraphs and the opinions together? Everyone. Very good. And in the point number 1, will you be thinking about the paragraphs? Very good. So is everyone clear with these terminologies? Please confirm me. Have you got some guidance? And has it been an eye opener for all of you? Has it been an eye opener for all of you? Right. So will you remember the 6 things which makes the report modified? Is that important? Have you got this knowledge? 6 things which makes the report modified. Is that easy for exam? Okay. What does the meaning modified means? Are you clear on this? Is everyone clear with the term modified? Modified means to change. Okay. Are you very clear with the 2 types of audit report, the modified report and the unmodified report? Are you very clear which of the paragraphs are part of the standard report? Which of the paragraphs are part of the standard report? Are you very clear on that? Okay, very good. So I hope you just got some refresher of the knowledge, right? But please ensure you revise the rules of material, you revise the rules of pervasive from my previous webinars, you revise the rules of key audit matter from my previous webinars, MURGC. I've covered almost every paragraph in the 3 webinars I have recommended you. So I hope you will watch them and keep a pen and paper with you and note things down. So I think in the next 2 days, if you can just make the rules of the 5 paragraphs and you can just make the rules of the 4 opinions, you will be excellent in a reporting question, right? I don't have time to go down into rules because again, I've done them. So I just don't want to repeat them, but I hope you will watch them and make the rules very clear for all of you. Is that clear? Because otherwise this webinar will become too theoretical, not practice oriented. So I hope this much revision is good for you, right? Okay, now let's move to the last thing. And watching the previous webinars will fill up the vacuum. The vacuum you have currently, or the gap you have between the knowledge, will be filled by the 3 previous webinars you will be watching. Now listen to one last thing before we take on the past papers. A question on matters to be communicated to those charged with governance. You need to understand. Yes, there is an interesting question from Muhammad Ali. He's asking, sir, from which attempt the new format of the report was applicable in the AAA exam? September 16. So if you do the papers older than September 16, you might get confused. So for reporting, you should do the past papers from September 16 onwards, because the new report, which consists of CAM, and the new report, which consists of the changes, was examined from September 16 exams. Is that clear to all of you? And Muhammad Ali, I hope you're clear on that as well, right? So September 16 onwards, right? You need to start looking at the past papers for reporting. I'll make a note of that at the end of my webinar today. Okay. When you look at a reporting question is not just asking you, or rather, let's put me this way, questions on reporting. Now, when you look at a question on reporting, the reporting question is not just asking you explain the impact on opinion or explain the impact on reports, not like that. There is so much variety in a reporting question, right? We've already covered some of them. A question on reporting can ask you, explain the impact on opinion or explain the impact on audit report. We've already seen that. The question on report can ask you, comment on the matters you should discuss with management in relation to each of the uncorrected misstatement. The question on reporting can ask you, explain the impact on financial statements. The question on reporting can ask you, explain the matters which should be communicated to those charged with governance. Ijaz, interesting question. One time you have to use the full terminology. Suppose you write in the exam paper key audit matter, and then you put in the bracket KAM. Now in the rest of your answer, you can use the abbreviation KAM. So one time you have to write full, then you abbreviate that, and then you can use the abbreviation in the rest of the answer. Suppose in the exam you write financial statements, so you put the bracket FS. Now in the rest of the paper, you can write FS. So one time do the full, then put the abbreviation, and then that can save a lot of time in your exam paper. I hope that's clear to you, Ijaz, and the rest of the students as well. And the last question which comes on the exam is a critical, which I will be doing today as well, a critical appraisal of the draft audit report. Now look at these types of questions. So a lot of time the student thinks, oh, a reporting question? Okay, that will just ask me opinions and I'll just give opinions to the examiner. You are unprepared for December 21 exams if you just think that a question on report is just opinions. A question on report is not just opinions. A question on report is so diversified. Look at the diversity in front of your screen. Explain the impact on opinion and the audit report. I've already made clear to you that. Comment on the matters you should discuss with management in relation to each of the uncorrected misstatement. Now, let me guide you. How would you go about writing an answer for this? If a question comes in the exam paper which asks you, comment on the matters that you should discuss in relation to each of the uncorrected misstatement with management, how would you go about answering this question? Now, when the examiner asks you, comment on the matters you should discuss with management in relation to each of the uncorrected misstatement, the matters are, number one, which you will be discussing with the management for uncorrected misstatements. The uncorrected misstatements will be given in the exam paper, right? And I hope you must have seen papers where examiner has given you the uncorrected misstatements in a form of a debit and credit, a schedule, right? Normally the examiner gives you a schedule of misstatements, debit and credit. And you want to discuss these uncorrected misstatements with management to find a solution of these uncorrected misstatement. So the very first matter you will be discussing with management for an uncorrected misstatement is the materiality, right? The second matter you will be discussing with management in relation to the misstatement is the correct accounting treatment. correct accounting treatment, because management has done the wrong accounting treatment. That is why it is a misstatement. So you need to tell management what is the correct accounting treatment. So first of all, you will tell management, is it material? Is it not? Then secondly, you will tell management the correct accounting treatment so they can rectify it. The third matter you should be discussed with the management is the impact on the financial statement. That is, because of the uncorrected misstatement, because of the uncorrected misstatement, because of the uncorrected misstatement, a fill in the blank is understated and a fill in the blank is overstated. So you tell management that because this is a misstatement, currently expenses are understated and the profit is overstated. For example, I hope you're getting my point, right? Exactly similar to the risk question, Hamza. Excellent picking. So you will tell management the impact on the financial statement. So suppose you are having a meeting with management tomorrow and there is an uncorrected misstatement which you want to discuss with management tomorrow. So the very first thing you will tell management is it important? Then the second thing you will tell management is the right treatment. The third thing you will tell management is that because it is a misstatement, so do you believe because it's a misstatement, the point number 3 is very valid? You're telling management that because it's a misstatement, something is understated and something is overstated. Is that important, everyone? Point number 3. Are you picking up that, everyone? And in the fourth point, you're telling management the impact of the misstatement on the audit opinion. Because it's a misstatement. Can a misstatement goes to a paragraph? Can you take a misstatement to a paragraph? No, you cannot take a misstatement to a paragraph, right? A misstatement is reflected in an opinion. So impact of a misstatement on the opinion. If you have more marks, then you can tell the impact on the report. Will it lead down to a modified report? So if you have more marks, you can stretch your answer. But these are 4 minimum things you need to discuss with management. Is everyone clear with the matters you should be discussing with management in a reporting question? Matters to be discussed with management. And how many marks will you get for each one of them? Minimum, you get 1 mark for materiality, 1 mark for the correct accounting treatment. You get 1 mark for impact on opinion, and minimum 1 mark for opinion. Because there might be some extra things you have to do for opinion. You might need to define some things for opinion. So minimum 1 mark for opinion. And you go down. Next. Okay, the next question. A lot of time the question asks you, explain the impact on the financial statements. And the student says, oh, examiner is asking us the impact on the opinion. You have to be very clear. Shahrukh, if it is immaterial, so you will discuss with management that currently it's immaterial on an individual basis. But if you aggregate them, it will become material. So even if it is immaterial, you have to comment on that and score 1 mark. Is that clear, Shahrukh? So if it is immaterial, comment on it and tell that on an individual basis, this misstatement is immaterial. But if aggregated with other misstatements, it could become material. I hope you're clear on that, Shahrukh. Now see this. Whenever these students see a word impact, this word, I don't know what happens to them in a reporting question. They just look at the word impact and they don't read after. And they say, oh, it's a reporting question. So definitely the examiner will be asking the impact on opinion. How many students have this mindset? They say, okay, this is a reporting question. So definitely the examiner will ask the impact on opinion. And they don't even bother to read what is written after the impact. And a student says, okay, examiner has asked me the impact, and he says qualified opinion, and he comes happily out of the exam hall. Have we given the wrong answer to examiner of this question? Has he given the wrong answer? Yes, because he didn't read what's written after the impact. So you need to read it very carefully. Examiner is asking the impact on the opinion? No. Is the examiner asking the impact on the audit report? No. Examiner is asking the impact on the financial statements. So impact on financial statement is what? Impact on financial statement is under and over statement, is either under or over statement, or For example, our disclosure is not given, then the impact is financial statements are materially misstated. So either it's under overstatement or its financial statements are materially misstated. Please read the requirement carefully. Students don't read the requirement carefully is the one of the major reason why you fail the paper, or why you fail the paper at 47, 48 or 49. Hamza, depends upon what is the examiner asking before the impact on the financial statement, right? So I just taken a part of the question, impact on the financial statement. Definitely there will be something before this. So you have to read this out before and then come to the impact on the financial statement, right? Okay, look at the third question. Explain the matters to be communicated to those charged with governance. This is one of a question which came in the June 19 exams. And I've already covered this in my previous webinar in December 20. And another one, which I've just given you the link of today. Explain the matters which should be communicated with those charged with governance. This is a totally different question. Matters with relation to the uncorrected misstatement? No. Matters which should be communicated to those charged with governance. So you need to read the case study and you need to find from the case study what are the important matters which you should be communicating to those charged with governance. So from the case study, pick up the matters, which are important and you believe should be communicated to TCWG. Now that's where a question has come in the past paper. I've already addressed that in the webinar. Before I tell you about that question and webinar, there is already an article on this which you should be exploring, which is the audit report to those charged with governance. Let me show you that for 1 minute. I hope I've given you a list of articles on the day 1 of the webinar, the 16 articles, the technical articles you have to read. And in one of the article, if I can just show you that on your screen for in 1 minute, you need to read this article, please. Let me show that you on your screen in front. I hope you can see it now. Can you see the articles on your screen? There is an article right here, auditor report to those charged with governance. Can you see that? Auditor report to those charged with governance. Can you all see it? This is an article which is reflective of the question we are looking at. So you should click on this article, open this article. Can you see the article opened in front of you? Auditors report to those charged with governance now. Oh, can you see it now in front of your screen? Auditors report to those charged with governance. Okay, good. You go down. See, it says this is relevant for P7, the older version. Now it's AAA. And this article highlights the matters you should be communicating. And some of those matters will be in the exam paper. So you should know the examples of the matter. See, go down. It tells you the relevant person to whom you are communicating. It tells you the matters to be communicated. Can you see this list, matters to be communicated? This is extremely important because see the bullets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 bullets, matters. Now, examiner can take any bullet and develop a case study, but you should know that this is a matter which should be communicated to the management. For example, any adjustments, any wrong accounting treatment, any weaknesses in the internal control system. See this? Any weaknesses in the internal control system is also a matter to be communicated. Any expected modification in the audit report is a matter to be communicated. Any disagreement over the accounting treatment. Now, before you issue an opinion or before you issue a qualified opinion, should you brought a matter to the attention of TCWG, or you straight away issue a qualified opinion? No, you discuss the matter first with management, right? Or TCWG. And if the TCWG is intent, then you issue a qualified opinion, right? But if the TCWG resolve a matter, then what will you do? If the TCWG resolve a matter, then what will you do? Unqualified opinion. So try to understand the examples of the matters given in the article. So will you be reading the article and particularly this paragraph in front of your screen, matters to be communicated? Will you be reading this paragraph, everyone? So please ensure you read this paragraph so that you are familiar with the types of matters to be communicated to those charged with governance. I hope you're all clear with that. Please ensure you do that, right? If I can just take, just give me 1 minute. If I can do something good for you. Okay. Please ensure you read this article, right? Now tell me, can you see the Word file again? Please read the article. Please read the article. Auditor report to TCWG, right? Please, right? And in the article, there is a paragraph, matters to be communicated to those charged with governance. Please read that out. Okay, I hope you can see this here. Just I can just format that for you. It would be more easier for you once you get this Word file. You can easily read the article from here. See, I've just pasted this on the screen here. Is that good for you? Can you see the matters on your screen now? Matters to be communicated. I've just pasted that on my Word file. So once you take a printout, it automatically comes to you, right? That's good. So will that save a lot of time for you? See, I'm trying to find solutions which save your time, but you have to study. You have to study properly. Okay, go down. So from the case study, you need to pick the matters to be communicated to those charged with governance. One question has come on it, right? One question only, which came in March, June 19 exams. Question number 2B. And I've already done this March, June 19 exam question number 2B in my previous webinar. And I'll just be going over it today as well. If I can just show you that. Can you see this March, June 19 question done in my June 20 webinar on the screen? Can you see it? So in my June 20 webinar, I've done it because it's a one-off question, important. I've already done this March, June 19 question in my December 20 webinar because it's extremely important. And I'll just be going over it today as well. But please don't ignore this question because it's one off in the recent paper. Whatever it comes in December 21 exams, what will you do? You will regret. Is that clear to all of you? Fine, because again, Shahrukh, that paper is not published, right? We're looking at only the published paper, right? We're not looking at the unpublished papers. So whatever came in the unpublished papers, we have no idea about it. Okay, I hope you're clear with this, and this has been covered in my previous webinar, so I hope you will go over my previous webinars, right? One question on this covered in my June 21 webinar. I hope you watch it. The last one, critical appraisal of the audit report. That's an interesting question, and I'll be doing this today because it's an important question for December 21 exams. I believe you might come across a question this time asking you a critical appraisal again. So critical appraisal of the draft audit report. Look at this question. So many times in the past paper, this question has come in, and so many times in my webinars, I've covered it. Critical appraisal of the draft audit report. Now, this is an interesting question, right? Whereby you need to pick the deficiencies. You need to pick the deficiencies in the audit report given in exam paper and tell what should be the correct way. So from the report given to you, Shahrukh, okay, Edmund, I'm just giving you the answer. Just wait for 1 minute. Okay, so you need to pick the deficiencies, right? From the question in the audit report. There might be something wrong in the audit report, right? And you need to pick up the deficiencies in the audit report, that there might be a problem that you have given the basis of opinion first and you have given the opinion after. And you will say, no, this is wrong. Opinion comes first, basis comes after, right? So there might be something wrong in the report. It could be the structure of the report. It could be the structure of the report which is wrong. It could be the director of the report. It could be the ordering of the report. What comes first? What comes after? For example, the examiner has put the CAM first and the opinion after. Can you put CAM first and opinion after? Okay. Can you put a key audit matter for a disagreement on an accounting treatment? Can you put a key audit matter on a disagreement with accounting treatment? No, because if there is a disagreement on an accounting treatment, it should result into a qualified opinion. A matter which results in a qualified opinion cannot come in CAM. So this is how things can be spoiled in the examiner report given in the paper. And you need to pick up the deficiencies and tell what should be the correct way. And every deficiency you pick and tell the correct way, you get 1 mark. So 1 mark per valid point you raise. So deficiency and the correction together is 1 mark, right? So you need to go down scoring a lot of marks here. Now just focus here. In the exam technique article, which you will be reading, exam technique article part 5. If I can again show you that on your screen, if I'm not wrong. I hope you can see the articles back again on your screen. Can you please confirm that? Can you see these articles in front of your screen? Okay, good. You have to read an article, which is an exam technique article part 5. Okay. Can you see the exam technique article part 5 on your screen? So I click on it, it opens. I hope you can see the opened article, exam technique article on your screen now. Part 5 reporting. Now, when you read this article, part 5 reporting, and you scroll down, examiner tells you about opinions, modified opinions. Examiner tells you about pervasive. Examiner tells you common errors in the exam. Common errors, a lot of common errors examiner has guided us in this article, which is wonderful. I've covered them in previous webinars so many times. Come down and come down and come down. If I'm not wrong, examiner has given a link. Okay, fine. Can you see here, there is a paragraph in the article which says exam focus. Can you see this paragraph? It's almost towards the end of the article. But can you all see there is a paragraph exam focus on your screen here? Okay. In this paragraph, exam focus, can you see there is a sentence coming here, view an example of a real auditor report? Can you see this? View an example of the real audit report here in the red. Now see, examiner has given you a hyperlink of a real auditor report. So you cannot say, how would I know the order of the report? How would I know what comes first, what comes after? How would I know the language of the report? So if you want to be prepared for a critical appraisal of the report, you should read this report. See, I click on this, and a real audit report will open. Just give me 1 minute for the real audit report to be uploaded. Okay, can you see this real audit report being uploaded in front of your screen given by the examiner in the article? Auditor report and the annual consolidated account 2017. Okay, I will share this with you, right? But in this report, you go to the index page. Can you find the index page auditor report here? Can you find the index page auditor report, everyone on your screen? On the left-hand side, can I click on it? The moment I click on auditor report, I'll reach the page. Okay, now can you see the auditor report in front of your screen? Just give me 1 minute. If I can just open it up and just enlarged it. Okay, I hope you can see the auditor report now in front of your screen. And you have to read it. So you go down and you start reading the auditor report being issued by PricewaterhouseCoopers. So you should know what comes first and what comes after. So opinion comes first, read the language of the opinion. Basis comes second, read the language of the basis. Key audit matter comes third, read how you write the key audit matters, what is exactly written in the key audit matter. You will not find a negative matter in key audit matter, because a negative matter leads to a qualified or an adverse opinion. In the key audit matters, you find significant matters, risky areas of the financial statement, subjective areas of the financial statement, areas which involve greater degree of uncertainty. Those such matters comes in CAM. Then you go down, you find a CAM going on and on and on, so many CAMs. And after the CAM, you find a long list of CAM that justify the bigger the company, the significant the CAMs are. So many CAMs given for your sake of knowledge. And then see, after the CAM, you come to the other meta paragraph. So you have another meta paragraph. Other meta paragraph only comes in the audit report when there is a change of auditor. When there is a change of auditor. See this other meta paragraph given in this report, it's also for the change of auditor. So if there is a change of auditor, it will be reflected in the other meta paragraph. Otherwise, other meta paragraph will not come in. Can you just read the other meta paragraph language quickly on your screen, everyone? Can you just read the 2 lines of the other meta paragraph so you know in which condition other meta paragraph comes in? Okay, so in a reporting question, if there is a change of auditor, will that be reflected in the other meta paragraph? So other meta paragraph is a conditional paragraph. And if you put another meta paragraph, because that's different from the standard report, it will lead down to a modified report. Yes, it's for both, right? It's for both, Aisha, for listed and non-listed. After the other meta paragraph, you can see the other information paragraph, right? And you go on. Responsibility of the directors and responsibility of the auditor. So responsibility paragraph, responsibility of the auditor. Then finally, you come down with other legal matters, your signature and ends. Please ensure you read this report. I'll share this with you on the WhatsApp group, but you cannot say, how would I know to do the critical appraisal? No, there is a link here. So let me take you back to where we were on the Word file. So please read the report. Please read the audit report given by examiner. Yes, even adopting a new accounting standard, right, is a CAM, Edmund. Please read the audit report given by the examiner for students in the exam technique article part 5. In the exam focus paragraph, I hope you will reach it, right? In the exam focus para, and I'll be sharing this on your WhatsApp group, so don't worry about it. But you should read this report to be able to find the critical appraisal of the report, right? And to me, it seems important for December 21 exams, examiner coming back with the critical appraisal. Is everyone clear with the types of questions? So is reporting only about opinions? Right? So is reporting only about opinions? No. Have you saw the diversity of questions on reporting? Impact on opinion, impact on report, impact on financial statements, critical appraisal of the audit report, matters to be communicated to those charged with governance, matters to be discussed in relation to each of the uncorrected misstatements. So have you found every question and an analysis on that? So when you do the past paper, will you read the requirements carefully? Will you read the requirements carefully? And will you recall my webinar that this is exactly what I guided you? Read the requirement, understand the requirement before you attack on it. So please ensure you watch my 3 previous webinars with this one. So that's 4. And then sit down and do the past paper. So first watch 4 webinars, including this one, right? And take a pen and paper, write everything down. Then you say, oh, I'm excellently prepared to attack the past paper, and then start the past paper. Before you attempt the past paper, please ensure you read the articles part 5, you read the article communication with those charged with governance, you read the audit report given in the examiner article, right? So let's make a study approach and start with the past paper. Study approach for audit reporting. Because it's a must question in the exam paper, right? So you should have the right study approach for audit report as well. So just let's recap and exit. The first step of the study approach, right? Okay, number one, study approach. First, watch all 3 recommended webinars. 2, make notes while you watch the webinars. Third, read the 2 recommended articles. Read the 2 recommended articles. Also read the audit report provided by the examiner in the article. Now that means you're prepared. Now start with past papers. First, focus on all past papers from September 18 to June 21. Then, if you want to practice more, only focus on papers from September 16 onwards. Don't go behind September 16 because you will find the old report and you'll find distortion in the examiner answers, right? So don't go beyond September 16. But if you attempt papers from September 18 to June 21, you will be excellently prepared. Is that study approach clear to all of you? So ensure you implement this in the next 3 to 4 days. Great. Okay. Now let's move back to the presentation and let's see the agenda we have for practice. Okay, I'll give you a break at after 15 minutes. So for 15 minutes, I'm still continuing. I'll give you a break at exactly 7 p.m., right? So we have 3 papers today. We have question number 2B from March, June 19 exams. We have question number 2B from March 20 exams, and we have a question 5B from December 17 exams. So let's plot them on my Word file and let's start them one by one. So let's get to the practice phase and see how much you understood me in the last 1 hour or so, because this is the time for implementation. Let's see who implements it best. Okay, practice. Practice of the past papers. I hope you're all ready for it, because that's the core part of this webinar to success. Let's start with the practice. 3 things in order. We have question 2B from the March, June 19 exams. We have the question 2B from the March 20 exams. Then we have finally the question 5B from the December 17 exams, right? So 3. Let's first start with the March 21, because that's more important to me, considering it's a critical appraisal. So let's first go down with this, and right after the break, we'll move focus on the others. Okay, is everyone ready for question 2B March 20 exams? And March 20 exam is not available on the platform, but what you can do is, if a question is not available on the platform, at least, you open a PDF version of the question like this. See, you go to the PDF file. Just let me show you that. Okay, I hope you can see the March 20 PDF file in front of your screen now, everyone. Okay, now because the March 20 paper is not on the practice platform, what you can do is, when you write the answer of the March 20 paper, what you can do is that you go back to the practice platform. Can you all see the practice platform in front of your screen? Please confirm it. Okay, great. So what you can do is that if a question is not available on the practice platform, can you see this blank workspace here? Blank workspace, right? So you can just click on the blank workspace and you assign it. The moment you assign the blank workspace, you will go down on the left-hand side and you will see the blank workspace. And you say, okay, let's start the blank workspace. Okay, now can you see the blank workspace opening in front of you, just like you saw the interface in the last 2 days of the webinar? Now, this is just a dummy. This is just a dummy arrangement done for your sake. Now, on the left-hand side, you can see a word processor. So you just open the word processor like this, and you make it big, and you can start writing the answer for March 2020, question number 2B here. So you write the answer in the practice platform on a blank workspace. You can use the commands bold, italic. You can use the commands given over here. So you know you're practicing. So if you practice on this interface, because that is exactly what you will see on the day of exam on the 6th of December. So be familiar with this. Don't write on the Microsoft Word, right? Don't write on the Microsoft Word, write on the word processor given in the exam paper. Is that clear? So whichever answer you are writing, write it on the blank workspace if that question is not available on the practice platform, because that is the right exam rigor you need. But if you continuously practice on a Microsoft Word, the Microsoft Word has so many other features which are not part of the word processor in front of you. See the toolbar of the word processor here. Is that a very limited toolbar in comparison to a Microsoft Word? So don't do it on the Microsoft Word, right? Yes, Rahul, you cannot copy from the PDF to the blank workspace, but you have to read the question on the PDF, and then you can keep the printout of the PDF in front of you and you can start typing the answer. At least you can type the answer here so that your typing speeds improve and you learn how to type, right? Yes, you can. You can save this blank workspace. The answer you write over here, you can copy paste even into the Microsoft Word. So once you write the answer here, you can copy paste it to it, and see you have a print option here. So you can take a print out of it as well, right? Okay, moving back to the question we were on before we get to the break part. Okay, let's put the question. Okay, can you all see the question March 20 in front of your screen now? Please confirm. Okay, good. We go down and we start looking at the question number 2B of this paper. 2 was about the evidence. Evidence also comes in a completion stage, right? I've covered evidence and procedures in my previous webinar, so please watch that as well. Look at this question number 2B. This interesting question 2B right here. Can you see the B part on your screen now? There is a case study, and after the case study, you see right over here the draft audit report. So after a case study, there is a draft audit report which you have to read. And examiner will give you a selected audit report, right? And you need to find the flaws within the box. Can you see the box of the audit report, a box? So you need to find the flaws within the box. Suppose a student look at this box and student says, oh, there is not a title of the report. Examiner has not given the title. Don't try to find a flaw out of the box. So a lot of times the student says the title of the report is not given, right? James, this question is not available on the practice platform, right? So I have to do it. I have to read it on the PDF version. But yes, we can write the answer on the blank workspace. Now, a lot of time the student try to find a flaw. They say, oh, there is no title of the report. There is no signature of the report. You need to find the flaw within the box given by the examiner. So within the box, what is the flaw? Is everyone getting my point? Look at the requirement. The requirement asks you, critically appraise the extracts. Look at this word extracts. So that means only the box from the proposed audit report of the Goodman Group for the year ending 31st of March. You are not required to redraft the extracts. So is this note important? You are not required to redraft the extract. You just need to find the weakness and tell what is the right thing. So when you get a question on a critical appraisal, try to find the critical appraisal within the box. So it's an 8 marks question. So how many critical appraisals we have to do for 8 marks? How many critical appraisals we have to do for 8 marks? 8. Now try to understand first something before I give you time to read this question. When you're doing a critical appraisal, there is a wonderful document which I'll share with you on your WhatsApp group after the session ends today. So don't be worried about it. Can you see this file in front of your screen now, which says critical appraisal means? Right? Can you see this word? Can you see this PDF? Critical appraisal means. Now see this. What is the examiner telling you here? This is a ACCA document, which I will be sharing with you. This particular page I'll share with you on the WhatsApp group, but just read this out for me quickly. I've just highlighted something in pink. Can you all read it out for me quickly in 1 minute? Right, so copy this, take it back to the Word file. Just give me 1 minute. I hope you can all see the Word file now. I've just copy pasted here what critical appraisal means. So critical appraisal means that you have to read the case study from the March 20 exams, and you need to find what is right and what is wrong. Now, if something is right, it's right. You cannot do anything about it. So critical appraisal means consider each piece of information given in the case study, right? Given in the case study and assess whether it is correct or incorrect. If it is correct, it's fine. You cannot do anything. You just move on. But if it is incorrect, that is an appraisal. So if you find something is incorrect, if you find something is incorrect, you need to what? If something is correct, it's correct, right? No need to write it down. But obviously, when the examiner is giving you an extract, there will be many things which are correct and there will be many things which are incorrect. Not every part of the report will be incorrect, right? Some part of the report will definitely be correct. Now, if you find something is incorrect, what will you do? Can you see the file again? Now read this. Now read this. Okay, just read these 2 paragraphs and that will be it. Can you just read these 2 paragraphs I highlighted in yellow, or just let me change the color, which I've highlighted in yellow. Can you just read these 2 paragraphs in yellow in front of your screen quickly? I hope you can see it. James, I will be coming to the time management tomorrow, last day. When I give you the final tips, I'll give you a very good tip on time management, right? So don't be worried about it. Okay, now examiner is saying that if you pick something is incorrect, right? If you pick something is incorrect, you need to describe why it is incorrect and how to amend it as necessary. So this is a clue, right? This is a clue. So if you pick something is incorrect in the audit report, what will you do? You need to look at this. I hope you can see this Word file on screen now. You need to describe why it is incorrect and how to amend it, and you score 1 mark for it. Is that clear to all of you? If you find something is incorrect, describing why and how to amend it as necessary, and 1 mark per point you raise. So if it is an 8 marks question, you need to find 8 incorrections in the report, right? 8 incorrections in the report. And 8 incorrection means for every incorrect thing, you need to tell why it is incorrect and how to amend it. So amend, you need to tell the correct thing, right? Amend, and why. So if any student tell why and amend, will you score full 1 mark? Why and amend, right? Clear? Okay, let's look at the last paragraph because there was a question on the last paragraph here. This paragraph here on your screen, though it's so simple, but one student was asking me a question on this. One of the first thing to note is that the requirement refers to the extract of the report. Extract of the report means a selected extract given by the examiner, not a full report, right? Has the examiner given you a full report? No. Has the examiner given you some extracts? Just like the examiner gives you the extracts in the question number 1 of the financial statement, right? So in the question number 1, examiner gives you an extract of the financial statement, right? Not the full financial statement. So just over here, the examiner has given you an extract of the audit report, not the full audit report. As it is not a complete report, comment on the missing element. Do not answer the question. Now, when you look at the extract of the report, if there is something missing, like no title of the report, no signature, will you comment on that? No, you need to comment within the extract. You need to comment within the extract. I hope you're all clear on that. So if I just show you the exam, can you see the report in front of you, the extract report? Can you all see the extract report in front of your screen? From the March 20 paper, please confirm that. Okay, now see, you have to comment within the box, but you cannot say the title of the report is not given, 1 mark, no. Signature of the report is not given, 1 mark, no. The management responsibility is not given, 1 mark, 3. Auditor responsibility is not given, 1 mark, 4. No. You have to comment within the extract. Is that clear? Good. Now I'm giving you 5 minutes before we get to the break. Can you just read this opening paragraph here quickly on your screen right in front of you? Read this paragraph from here to here before I ask you some questions. Just read this yellow. See what is actually happening in the draft audit report. Read it very carefully, very carefully. Your time starts now. 3 minutes. Okay, have you read it, everyone? Have you read the 3 situations? Now, before we read the report, this is the logical way you should do a question in the exam, right? Okay, if I just take the 3 things from here to my Word file quickly, before we do a quick analysis and we plan a break and come back answering the question. Look at the case study from the exam paper. Case study. Let me copy paste it here. Just give me 1 minute or less than that so I can arrange it for you and then guide you what's the best way to attempt a question on a critical appraisal. And you will be amazed how easy it is if you know the logics and you know the rules and regulation of reporting. It is such a scoring opportunity, attempting a question on reporting in a AAA paper. If you're a clever student, you can score 100% marks in a question on reporting. An examiner do justify that in the examiner report, that if a student is good, even cent% marks are possible in a reporting question, if you know the rules very well, right? So this is a case study right in front of you. Let's see what is actually happening in the case study. I'll ask you questions, you need to give me answers. Okay, what is the materiality level? 400,000, right? Which is the fine. So anything above 450, anything above $400,000 will be material, right? And anything less than 400,000 will be immaterial, right? So you have been given a threshold. You will not divide it by 400,000, right? Anything above and anything below. So that's what you are looking for. Okay, let's see the three things. How many areas are there which are currently under problem? The first is a fraud as the first problem. The second is the development cost. And the third is the liquidation. 3 areas, right? Let's see what is the impact of each one of them on the audit report. The first one, fraud. Has the partner the partner is the one who is responsible for signing the report. Edmund, the requirement is to critically appraise the report. We're coming to it, but we're just seeing what's happening in the case study to identify what should be the right conclusion and whether the right conclusion has been given or not. Fraud. The partner is the one responsible to sign the audit report, right? And the partner has concluded that the fraud is immaterial, right? And all necessary work has been performed. So the partner is saying the fraud is immaterial. We have concluded on it. The work has been performed. We are ready, set. So will there be any impact of this on the financial statements? Sorry, on the audit report? Fraud is immaterial. Will it have any impact on the audit opinion? Will it have any impact on the audit opinion? No, fraud is not material by nature, right? The partner is concluding. Understand the position of the person here. Understand the position of the person here. The partner is saying fraud is immaterial. So are we arguing against the partner? No, because he's the one to sign the report. So will there be any impact here? No impact. No impact on opinion. If fraud is immaterial, can you put this in an emphasis of a meta paragraph as a blunder? I hope you all know emphasis means something material. Can you put an emphasis of a meta paragraph or something immaterial? No. Can you put an emphasis of a meta paragraph or something immaterial? No. Can you even put a key audit meta paragraph or something immaterial? Key means material. Can you put a key audit meta paragraph or something immaterial? No. Be with logics, right? Be with logics. Look at the second one, development cost. Do you believe development cost, the conclusion was reached by the audit team that the recognition of the development cost of 600,000 as an intangible asset is appropriate? So is the auditor agreeing with the capitalization of 600,000 as appropriate? So is the auditor happy with the management? So will there be any impact on the opinion? No, no impact on opinion. No impact on opinion. Right, last one. I'm focusing on opinions currently, right? Look at the last one. In the last one, the auditor has agreed that $50,000 can be recognized as a receivable, but the remaining $450,000 should be written off. So $450,000 should be written off. 50,000 can be recognized out of the 500,000. The management refused. So the group refused to make any adjustment. Now that's dangerous. The group refused to make adjustment. Negative, is that something negative? And the full 500,000 remains recognized as receivable in the group financial statement. So has the management done a misstatement here? Is this a material misstatement, everyone? Is this the material misstatement? This is a material misstatement, as currently receivables and profit is overstated by $450,000. 50,000 is to be recognized, right? out of the 500,000, right? So receivables and profit is overstated by $450,000, right? And expenses are understated. And expenses are understated by $450,000. I hope you're getting my point. This is a material misstatement, right? As currently the receivables and profits is overstated and the expenses are understated by 450 because 50,000 is right. Remaining 450 is to be written off. I hope you got the wording of the auditor, right? But the management has recorded the full $500,000. So is this a material misstatement? So will it lead down to a qualified opinion? This will lead down to a qualified opinion, right? Agree, disagree? So the situation number one, fraud. Will there be any impact on the opinion on fraud of fraud? Number one? No. Development cost. Will there be any impact on the opinion for development cost? No. Okay. Third, $450,000 not written off. Will there be any impact on the opinion? Yes, very good. Now look at the last thing before we exit the case and I give you the break, right? Which is long view now. Okay, just look at the part B, group. The work has been completed on the group audit report. Let's see, is this group listed or not? We go to the part A of the same question. And when we look at the part A of the same question, it tells you the group is not listed. The group is not listed. Now, I think there was one student in the audience who was saying key audit meta for development cost. Can you give a key audit meta anywhere in the answer? No, because key audit meta only comes when it is a listed company. So is there any need of a CAM? No. Very good. So should you read the case to identify whether it is a listed company or not? Everyone is clear? So the group is listed. Is the group listed? No. Good. Okay, now just have a quick scan of what has been done in the report. Now just read the report and tell me what wrong has been done in the report. Just quickly go over the report and we'll set for a break, and right after the break, we'll plan the answer. Look at the report in front of you and tell me what exactly are the mistakes in the report, knowing the fact that fraud is immaterial, knowing the fact development cost has been appropriately recognized, and knowing the fact that $450,000 has not been written off. Your time starts now. Okay, just take 3 minutes, then I'll take your answer. Just take 3 minutes. Look at the report carefully. I think it's quite a funny report, right? Particularly when you look at the emphasis of a meta paragraph. I hope you know that such matters are not highlighted in the emphasis of a meta paragraph. You're highlighting some very funny matters in the emphasis of a meta paragraph, which not at all comes in the emphasis of a meta paragraph, right? So I hope, I normally believe that the student answer in one exam paper is a good opportunity for the examiner to pick that answer and develop that in the next exam setting as a critical appraisal of the draft audit report. Right? I think this is right, because the way you write answer in the exam paper of a report question, you are giving opportunity to the examiner to take your answer and put in the next exam paper critical appraisal of the draft audit report. So I hope there are lots of mistakes, but we'll focus on the mistakes right after the break. but please absorb it. I hope you had a wonderful session so far. Right after the break, we'll be focusing on writing the answer. What is wrong in this report? Emphasis of a matter paragraph comes when I will give you the knowledge. So you will get knowledge of emphasis. Remember, this is not a listed company. When emphasis comes in the audit report, and is basis of opinion right? Is opinion right? We'll discuss all that right after the break. So how was the session so far, so forth? Have you got some insights? Have you learned something out of the session today? So once we resume after the break, we'll focus on the answer, and then we'll take another question. I'll not be doing the March, June 19 question 2B because I've already done that in the previous webinar, but I just want to put 30 minutes on December 17 question number 5B for the sake of guidance. Thank you so much. So what's the time? It's 7:15 p.m. in Pakistan. So we'll take the session back at 7:30 p.m., right? A 15 minutes break. Please be back to classroom by 7:30 p.m., right? Let me put that in the chat box. Break till 7:30 p.m. for 15 minutes. So have a cup of tea, relax yourself, come back, and we'll discuss more. We have 1 hour after the break. So more interesting discussion coming your way in the next 1 hour. Stay tuned for it. And I'm muting myself and putting my camera off, and I'll see you back. Please drop your feedback during that time. Would be wonderful for me. How was the session today? What is the key thing you've learned today? What is the key thing you've learned today? And what was the overall satisfaction level of the session today? 1 being poor and 5 being excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Just 2 minutes away from the break time, was a question from Aisha. Management makes financial statements on breakup basis, which is correct, but they didn't disclose it. Why they prepared using a breakup basis? Then what should be in the report? For the breakup basis, it should be emphasis of a meta paragraph. If they didn't disclose it, then definitely this is a very important disclosure, that the financial statements are prepared on a breakup basis, but they're not disclosing the reasons for it. So if the disclosure reasons are not given, then it will lead down to either a qualified opinion or an adverse opinion. But the good thing they've done is they've prepared the financials on a breakup basis. So probably the disclosure not given will lead down to a qualified opinion. Immaterial is something which is less than the materiality threshold, Fatini. So in this paper, 400,000 is the materiality level. So anything less than that is immaterial. But you know the thresholds of materiality, Fatini, 1 to 2% of the total asset. So if something is less than 1% of the total asset will be immaterial. If something is less than 0.5% of a revenue is immaterial. And if something is less than 5% of the profit is immaterial, right? I hope you know the thresholds of materiality. So something less than that is immaterial, numerically. Okay, I'm resuming. Welcome back, everyone, after the break. I hope you are all back into the session. We were discussing the question March 20, question number 2B, right in front of your screen. We discussed the blunders in the extract of the draft audit report. And literally, there were funny things in this draft audit report, which needs to be highlighted and scored 8 marks. So I hope you have the case study in your mind. Let's go down attacking the case study. Now, the very first thing you find as a problem in this extract is the first one, basis of opinion and opinion. When you look at the audit report, first of all, basis for opinion and opinion are two segregated paragraphs, right? Where opinion should come first and basis should come after. Now see how they've written it. They've written it basis for opinion first and opinion after. So technically the heading is wrong. It should be opinion, then basis, and there should not be one paragraph, right? There should be two paragraphs. So let me take this first bullet on my, let's write it down on, for the sake of ease, just 1 minute, sorry. For the sake of ease, let's write it down on the blank workspace. Critical appraisal. I hope you can find the answer on the screen now, critical appraisal. Just let me increase the font size here. And we can just go with the heading number 2. Can you see this practice platform in the screen where I'm using the blank workspace, everyone? So critical appraisal, right? So the first heading of the critical appraisal is basis of opinion and opinion, like this. You put this as a heading, and then you tell what is wrong and how it should be corrected. So you tell examiner that just let me take the font size bigger. The opinion para should come first, followed by a basis of opinion. Further, both the paragraphs should be segregated, as they are two discrete paragraphs. They are two discrete paragraphs in the audit report. Is that clear to all of you? So this is how you can use the blank workspace, right? So you're putting the title as given in the actual exam paper. And under that, you're criticizing that the opinion paragraph should come first, followed by the basis. There are two discrete paragraphs. They cannot be one. So they should be segregated. If you see the standard audit report given to you by the examiner, you first have an opinion paragraph, then you have a basis of opinion paragraph. So they should be segregated, right? So then you can copy your answer from the blank workspace, and you can take it to your Word document here. If we can start writing the answer. I hope we can function that copy paste here. Yes, it's functioning good. Now, can you see the answer on the Word document now? So at least you can copy from the blank workspace back to the Word document, but not from the PDF to it. Okay, number 2, let's go down finding the second criticism. Now, when you look at the second criticism, if I show you the question back on screen, no, James, sometime you just say this should come in. You will not say that it. Let me make the drafting adjustment once I get back to my Word file, James. Just wait for 1 minute. The second, when you read the basis for opinion paragraph, the basis for opinion paragraph tells you audit procedure indicate that the trade receivables are overstated by $500,000. Is trade receivable overstated by $500,000 or 450? Are they overstated by 500 or 450? 450. So is that wrong? Should I take it back to my Word file? Next, see how am I giving the headings? I'm giving the headings as given in the case study. So anyone who is reading and checking my paper exactly know what's the problem. So I will write over here, the trade receivables aren't overstated by $500,000, but rather they are overstated by $450,000 because $50,000 can still be recognized as receivables as per the conclusion of the auditor, So the misstatement value is given wrong in the audit report. Misstatement value is given wrong in the audit report. And even for the first one, when you're saying the opinion paragraph should come first and both paragraphs should be segregated, after the full stop, you can say currently both paras are merged, which is wrong. Both paragraphs are merged, which is wrong. James, I hope you're getting your answer right. So this is how you can answer the question. You're telling what is wrong and how it should be corrected. Right? Okay, let's move back to the next question. Next part of the answer. Let me share the PDF again with you. Okay. For this reason, we consider that the group financial statements are likely to be materially misstated. Are they likely to be materially misstated or they are materially misstated? Look at the language. Are they likely or they are materially misstated? Because the group has refused to make an adjustment. Look at the language. So you copy this, Control C, you bring this back to your Word file, because this is a very ambiguous language. You cannot use the ambiguous language in the audit report. You have to be definite in the audit report, right? Because the group has refused to make an adjustment. So you copy this. Sorry. Just let me go back to my PDF again. Just let me copy this line from here. Just give me 1 second. Likely to be materially misstated. And you take it back to your Word document again, and you write it over here. Likely to be materially misstated, right? You cannot use an ambiguous language. The shareholders will become confused. You need to be definite, right? So you say likely is an ambiguous statement which will confuse the shareholders. Audit report should contain definite language, and in this case, the financial statements are materially misstated, because the group has refused, to adjust the trade receivable. The group has refused to adjust the trade receivable. So definitely it's a misstatement, right? You cannot say likely. Likely is a wrong statement here. So likely is an ambiguous statement, right? And you cannot use the ambiguous statements in the audit report. I hope you're clear with that, right, everyone? So you got 3 marks. See, critical appraisal is so easy. Look at the length of the answer. You just need to write under sentences here. And in one sentence, you're telling why is it wrong, and then the correction. So you need to write definite languages in the audit report, right? 3 problems. Move on back to the next one. Okay, and do not fairly present the financial position and performance of the group for the year ending 31st of March. Do not fairly present. Is that the way we give a qualified opinion? Or in the qualified opinion, we say in our opinion, except for, or do we read do not present fairly the financial position? Is that the right way you present a qualified opinion? We should say in our opinion, except for, right? Do not fairly present the financial position. That's a very wrong statement. Control C, you take it back to the Word file. That's not how you give this exactly, James. It seems like you're giving a adverse opinion. So let's take it back to the Word file. Do not fairly present the financial position. I hope you all agree. The qualified opinion has to come here, right? We have to issue a qualified opinion. So you tell here, this is not the right way. This is not the right way to present a qualified opinion. Qualified opinion starts with comma, in our opinion, comma, except for, comma. You're not writing the full opinion, right? You're saying this is not the right way you start a qualified opinion. A qualified opinion starts with in our opinion, except for, which is not the case with how the opinion is drafted in the audit report, or how the opinion is drafted in the extracts of the report, in the extracts of the given report. So you're saying, no, this is not the way you write the qualified opinion. And you then tell the examiner that because financial statements are materially misstated by $450,000, a qualified opinion should be issued. Qualified opinion should be issued, not an opinion like the one you issued in the audit report. See, please ensure you put the headings exactly from the case study, so the marker who's checking your paper can exactly know which point you are writing. It makes so easy for the tutor and for the marker to check your assignments or to check your papers. I hope you're getting the track of putting the right headings, right? To exactly know what you are writing. Yes, you can also mention that it's material, not pervasive. That's fine. Okay, you get to the next paragraph quickly. Emphasis of a matter paragraph. Now, we have given an emphasis of a matter paragraph for something very illogical. There are 2 matters which we try to draw your attention at. The first matter, a fraud was discovered, and as a result of which we have determined that 40,000 was stolen from the group. This does not impact the financial statement, but we wish to highlight the illegal activity. In the emphasis of a matter paragraph, do you highlight an illegal activity, or in the emphasis of a matter paragraph, do you highlight a disclosure given in the notes to the financial statement? What is the right thing in the emphasis of a matter paragraph? In the emphasis of a matter paragraph, do you highlight a disclosure given in the notes, or do you try to highlight an illegal activity? And the partner has already concluded that the fraud is immaterial. So try first to understand the literal meaning of the word emphasis. Right, let's take a quick knowledge here. Knowledge. Look at the knowledge. Emphasis of a meta paragraph, just in 2 minutes, right? Emphasis of a meta para. What is the meaning of the word emphasis? Tell me. Emphasis means something material, right? Number 1. And what is the literal meaning of the word meta? Meta means a disclosure given in the notes to the financial statement. In the notes to the financial statement. Which matter? A disclosure. Which matter? A disclosure. Material. Two things. Now tell me. Emphasis means something material and the matter means a disclosure given in the notes. If the two conditions are met, only then emphasis can come. Can you give an emphasis for an illegal activity? No. Can you draw an attention to an illegal activity? No. Can you give an emphasis for something immaterial? First of all, the fraud is immaterial, right or wrong? First of all, the fraud is immaterial, right or wrong? So is the first condition met? Is the first condition met? Khan, matters related to fraud are reported in CAM. You need to understand, first of all, this is not a listed company. Second of all, if a fraud is immaterial, why would it come under CAM? Is it an immaterial fraud? Agree with me? So emphasis only come for material, number one. And secondly, it comes for a disclosure. So remember the two conditions, right? EOMP is equal to material plus disclosure. So in the exam, if it is material plus a disclosure given, only then emphasis come. Suppose something is material, but the disclosure is not given. Will you give emphasis? Something is material, but the disclosure is not given. Will you give emphasis? No. Then what will you give? A qualified opinion. Okay, something is immaterial, but the disclosure is given. Will you give emphasis? Something is immaterial, but the disclosure is given. Will you give emphasis? No. Now tell me, in the case of the fraud, is emphasis logical? First of all, the fraud was immaterial. Secondly, fraud is not a disclosure, right? You cannot give fraud as an emphasis of a meta paragraph just because you want to draw the attention of an illegal activity. Has the partner told you that the matter has been resolved and concluded? Then why you want to draw the attention to an illegal activity? Why you want to draw the attention to the illegal activity when the partner is saying this has been concluded? Right? So let's get to the third statement then, which is from the case study. Sorry, we just need to pick that out. I just forgot the statement, which is here. Let's take it back to the paper. I hope you can all see the Word file again. I'm just copying the text here. Highlight the illegal activity which took place during the year. That was the statement. Let's see what is wrong with this statement, right? So highlight the activity which took place in the year and you criticize the statement. You say, this is wrong. This is wrong because the emphasis of a meta paragraph does not highlight an illegal activity, does not highlight an illegal activity, rather emphasize on a material disclosure, given in the notes to financial statement. The fraud firstly is immaterial. So immaterial things, immaterial aspects don't fall under EOMP. And secondly, fraud is not a disclosure. Fraud is not a disclosure. The audit partner has already concluded that the matter is settled. I hope you agree with the statement here, right? Right. It is not a disclosure, right? Obviously. So this is a illogical act you have done in the report because emphasis does not highlight an illegal activity, rather emphasize on a material disclosure. The fraud is firstly immaterial, so immaterial things don't fall under emphasis. And secondly, fraud is not a disclosure, right? The audit partner has already concluded that the matter is settled. Are you getting my point, everyone here? In the same way, you go to the other things, right? And you wrap up the answer. The last one, I'm just discussing, I'll not write it. The group finance director obstructed our audit. Can you refer to a position? Can you refer to a group finance director in the audit report, or do you use a journal terminology management? Can you refer to a designation in the audit report? Can you refer to a person in the audit report? Never. So this is wrong, right? You never refer to a person in the audit report. You say the management. Right? So this is one problem, the group finance director, right? I hope you've picked it out. You will write it down, right? Obstructed our audit by refusing to allow access to evidence. Has the partner highlighted something like that we found any limitations? So even if you were obstructed, I think the problem was resolved. That's why the partner didn't highlighted it, right? So you were obstructed and you didn't got evidence. Then how you concluded that the development cost is rightly recognized? Why did you concluded that the development cost 600,000 is appropriate? So that means even if you were obstructed, you got evidence, right? So I think you are putting something wrong in the audit report. It's clashing with your conclusion on $600,000. So refuse to allow access to evidence. Then how you got evidence? How you concluded that 600,000 is rightly recognized? He also refused to adjust the financial statement in relation to the material misstatement of the trade receivable. Is this something to be reported in the emphasis, or is this something which should go to a qualified opinion? Is this something to go to emphasis or to qualified opinion? Number two problem. So every yellow is a problem, right? Which led to a qualified audit opinion being issued. Do you tell about qualified audit opinions being issued in the emphasis of a meta paragraph? Or is there a separate paragraph, opinion paragraph in the audit report for that? Third problem. For this reason, we wish to resign as an auditor. Do you give your resignation in the emphasis of a meta paragraph? Or do you put your resignation to the shareholder in the annual journal meeting? Do you put your resignation in the audit report? I think this is the most funny statement, right? You give your resignation to the shareholders in the annual journal meeting. So how many problems is there in the last paragraph? 4. The name of the finance director? He refused to adjust. If he refused to adjust, then it should be reflected in a qualified opinion. 2. Number third, qualified audit opinion been issued. Why are you referring to a qualified audit opinion in an emphasis of a meta paragraph? Third, and we wish to resign. You don't resign in an emphasis of a meta paragraph, right? You don't put your resignation letter in the audit report. 4. So 4 problems in the last paragraph. I hope you will be able to write it just I wrote with you today. So is critical appraisal becoming senseful to all of you? That you read a critical appraisal, you try to find the flaws in the audit report in terms of the language, in terms of the structure, in terms of something being wrong in the audit report, and you try to tell why it is wrong, and then you tell how it should be adjusted. I hope you're sound and clear on this exercise. So I've even given you the way to answer, and I hope you also got how we read the case, but please confirm me for 1 minute. Look at this. Are you all clear with this? Critical appraisal means to consider each piece of information and assess whether it is correct or incorrect. If it is incorrect, you need to describe why it is incorrect, number 1, and how to amend it, number 2. When you're writing the answer, please focus on both so that you can score 1 mark per point. I hope you're all loud and clear on this now. Great. Okay, now let's move towards the last thing for the class session today, and we'll be wrapping up. I hope you got the knowledge of the emphasis. Emphasis means something which is material and for a disclosure given in the notes. Remember the conditions for emphasis for your exam paper, right? Great. Okay, last thing. We're just scanning the requirements of December 17 paper. I've already done in my previous webinar, so we'll not be going into details. But December 17, question number 5B, just need to spend time on the requirements. So I am sure you know the requirements. Okay, let me put the December 17 paper in front of your screen now. In the previous webinar, I've already done it. Okay, just let me confirm question number 5 from the December 17 exams. Okay, can you see the question number 5 from the December 17 exams on your screen, everyone? Okay, that's great. So can you just look at the B part of it? And it is a typical reporting question where you get multiple situations. Now, first of all, this is a listed company. So you have to be watchful, right? Number one. Then every time you're looking at a reporting question, you need to look at these numbers carefully. Revenue, because you need to find the materiality. You need to look at the number profit because you need to find the materiality. You need to look at the number total assets because you need to find the materiality. In a reporting question, if the examiner has given you revenue, if the examiner has given you the profit, and if the examiner has given you the total assets, you will find the materiality on each one of them. And on any one item, on any item which is the highest, you will take it. Suppose it's 1% of the revenue, it's 10% of the profit, and it's 3% of the total asset. Now 3% of the total asset means material, 1% of the revenue means material, and 10% of the profit means material. So all are material, right? But you take the highest percentage, which is 10%. Now, suppose you take a problem, and one problem is like 1% of the profit. One problem is like 1% of the profit, which is immaterial. But that problem is like 3% of the revenue. Or that problem is like 7% of the total asset. So which percentage will you take to reach a conclusion? The percentage which is the highest. So in a reporting question, you need to find the materiality on all three factors given or two factors given, and on whichever is the highest percentage will prevail for your decision, right? Is that clear? So take the highest percentage for reaching a conclusion. Khan, the percentage for profit is 5 to 10%, right? That's still the same. For total assets, it's 1 to 2%. For revenue, it's half to 1%. It's still the same. But I hope you're getting my point here, that you try to find the percentage on all the three factors given, and whichever is the highest percentage, you will take that for the decision, whether it is material or material and pervasive, right? Now you have three problems, 1, 2, 3. Now look at the requirement. Now I want to readdress this requirement with all of you. And just want to confirm that you understand this requirement before you solve this question as an assignment. See this. I hope you can see the Word file on your screen. I just want to ensure that you answer my Q&As today, because I just want to ensure you're getting the requirements right. See what the question is asking you. For each of the matter described above, how many matters are described above in the case? 3. So for each of the matters described above, that is matter A, matter 1, matter 2, and matter 3. So when you read the case, there are 3 matters, right, in this December 17 paper. For each of the matter, what you need to do, explain the matters which should be discussed with management in relation to each of the uncorrected misstatement. Have I given you the answer for this today? Matters you need to discuss for each of the uncorrected misstatement with the management. Have you got the answer to this? So for matter 1, you need to ensure matters which you should be discussing with management in relation to the uncorrected misstatement. So matter number 1, the first heading, matters that should be discussed with management, Control C, and you bring it under the matter number 1. So for the matter number 1, you need to tell what you should be discussing with the management. Number 2, assuming that the management does not adjust the misstatements identified, evaluate the effect of each. Is the examiner saying aggregate? Examiner saying evaluate the effect of each on the opinion. Each. Is that word each important? Because that means individual. Each on the opinion. So are we thinking about the paragraphs here? Are we thinking about the paragraphs here? No. So matters which should be discussed with the management covers everything. So when you're discussing the matters and then you're discussing the opinion, So in the matters, because opinion is a separate requirement. So in the matters, what will you discuss, everyone? You will first discuss the materiality. You will then discuss the accounting treatment. You will then discuss the impact on financial statement, right? And then you come to opinion. In the opinion part, you will discuss which opinion should be issued, which opinion should be issued, and why. You justify why, because you have to take, is it material, is it immaterial? So why means is it immaterial? Why means is it material? Why means is it pervasive? And that why will lead to the right opinion. So are you clear with this? Everyone? So is the examiner saying, I evaluate the effect of each on the opinion? So each means every one of them. Now, just take a twist here. So will you be able to do this matter 1, matter 2, matter 3? Have you got the guidance? Will you fill up the guidance? Everyone, please confirm me that. Will you go with the same guidance for the matter number 2? Will you go with the guidance on the matter number 3, everyone? So will that make your answer easier? At least half the tension level should go off. And you can watch my previous webinar. Have I covered this December 17 paper in my previous webinar, everyone? Have I mentioned that at the beginning of the session? I think in the December 20 webinar, right? Which the link has been given. So please watch it and complete the answer. Now look at one thing which I want to make a twist here. Control C. Now listen to me very carefully. For example, a requirement in the exam paper, comes this way, Look at this, copy paste. For example, a requirement in the exam paper comes this way. For each of the matter described above, explain the matters which should be discussed with management in relation to each of the uncorrected misstatement. Each. Assuming that the management does not adjust the misstatements identified, evaluate the effect on the audit opinion. Now look at the statement. Each has gone now. How will this impact your answer? Will the answer for the first part remain the same? So when you're answering the matter 1, what will you write under the matter 1? Matters to be discussed with management. But now the examiner is saying, if the management does not adjust the misstatements identified, evaluate the effect on the audit opinion. Accumulative. Now this means aggregate. Not individual. I hope you're getting the track here. Sometime you overlook something in the exam paper which spoils your answer. Reading each, a requirement with each and a requirement without each is so important. How many times you overlook such things in the exam pressure? A lot of time. And is that disastrous when you ask why I failed at 47? This can be one reason why you fail at 47, 48, 49. So when you're answering the first part, number 1, matter to be discussed with management. So the first matter you will be discussing again is the materiality. The second matter you will be discussing is the accounting treatment. Right? Accounting treatment. The third matter you will be discussing is the impact on the financial statement of each. Now, will you cover the each opinion in the first part now? Because in the second part, you have to go with aggregate. So when you are discussing the matter with management, now will you cover each opinion in the part 1 now? No, you have to do separately what, Hamza? You have to do aggregate separately, right? But what about individual opinions? Now, by default, the individual opinions will come in the first part. By default, the individual opinion will come in the first part. Discussing the opinion, is that a matter you should discuss with management? Discussing the opinion, is that a matter which you should discuss with management? But why we didn't did that in the December 17 paper above? Because the second requirement was asking each on the audit opinion. So we took a break. So in the first part, actually, we didn't discuss the opinion because the examiner was asking for opinion in the second part, right? So we discussed the individual opinion in the second part of the December 17 paper. But now when you look at this question with a twist, because in the second part, you have to look at the aggregate, then where will you discuss the individuals? Where will you discuss the individuals? In the first part, right? So impact on the financial statement and the individual opinions. And the individual opinions will come in the first part. So see how the answer has changed from the actual December 17 to this one. Are you getting my point, everyone? So individual opinions will fall under the first one. Realistic. When we discuss a matter with management, honestly tell me, when we sit on the table with management, will we be discussing the individual opinions with management when we're sitting with them in a meeting? Right? Will we be discussing that opinion with management when we are sitting on the table with them? Definitely. But why we broke that in the first question above? Because examiner was asking it separately in the second requirement. Examiner was asking it separately in the second requirement. So we broke it. I hope you're getting my point. But in this question, you do the matter 1, then you do the matter 2, then you do the matter 2, and then you do the matter 3. Write this. You need to judge whether something needs an opinion or not yourself, right? I'm just making a structure for you. So you write the first matter. Just let me take it on the next page. We have very less space for writing the answer. Okay. So matter 1, this way. Then you put the matter 2 and you put it under the matter 2 and you put the matter 3. You come down with matter 3 and you put the same under the matter 3, right? This is how you structure your answer. Now what you need to do after you complete all the 3 matters, tell me. What do you have to do after you've completed the 3 matters with individual lists? Is there something extra you have to do after this? Yes. What is that? After all the 3 matters, you will say aggregate opinion. Aggregate opinion, right? And then in this part, you will aggregate the misstatements. You will aggregate the misstatements. You will find the total. You will find the materiality again. You will find the materiality of the total. And then you will conclude what is the right aggregate opinion. What is the right aggregate opinion? What is the right aggregate opinion? So when you do the aggregation, you will aggregate the misstatements. You will get 1 mark for this. So you got the total right. Aggregate the misstatement means you got the total. Then you find the materiality of the total for 1 mark. And on the basis of that materiality, you conclude whether it is a qualified opinion on an aggregate basis or an adverse opinion or an immaterial or an unqualified opinion. So conclude what is the right aggregate opinion, 1 mark. So that's the last heading, right? Aggregate opinion. No, when you are aggregating, right, you look at the P&L only, right? Let me show you one thing, how you go down with aggregation, just to be on the safe side. Then you're not doing that blunder in the exam paper. Just let me show you something from the past papers. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, can you all see the December 17 paper on your, December 14 paper on your screen now? December 14 paper on your screen now? Okay, good. Just look at this. This is how you do the aggregations basically, right? Can you look at this schedule of uncorrected misstatement on your screen, where again the requirement is matters to be discussed with management, same requirement, and then the examiner is asking for justify an opinion. Look at this word of examiner, justify an opinion. Does that mean individual, or does that mean aggregate? Justify an opinion. Does that mean aggregate or individual? Aggregate, right? Now, how would you do the aggregation? Now, when you look at the first problem, the share-based payment, the auditor is making an adjustment. Auditor wants the share-based payment to be adjusted by 300,000 in the P&L. Auditor wants the restructuring provision to be credited to the P&L by 50,000. So that means the auditor is reducing the provision, credit. And the auditor wants the allowance for slow-moving inventory to be debited by 10,000 in the P&L. I hope you're getting that right. So debit means you are recognizing something in the P&L, and the credit means you are removing it from the P&L. So debit and credit. Now, how much is the debit impact on the P&L? 310. So will that reduce the shareholder profit by 310? Will that reduce the shareholder profit by 310? Yes. And credit, how much is the credit impact to the profit and loss? 50. So is that something favorable for the shareholder? $50,000. $50,000 will increase the profit because you're crediting something to a P&L, right? So if you credit something to a P&L, will that be a benefit to the shareholder? So what is the net impact which is going to the shareholder profit? The net impact which is going to the shareholder profit here is 260,000. So what is the aggregate misstatement? The aggregate misstatement is 260, not 360. So you have a debit, you have a credit to the P&L. Why are we just taking P&L? Why not the financial position? Because the shareholders are focused on P&L, right? So we are looking at the impact on the profit, So how much is the impact on the profit? 360 or 260? What is the impact on the profit, on the shareholder profit? So what is the aggregate misstatement? The aggregate misstatement is the $260,000. Is everyone getting it? So please be very watchful of the debit impact and of the credit impact, and then do the minus, right? Otherwise, you'll do a big mistake in the exam paper. So aggregate misstatement means gross, or aggregate misstatement means net? Yes, Hamza, you need to add the 3 misstatements, right? But all the 3 misstatements, right? Shouldn't we add them all? We are adding them, right? But when we are adding them up, 2 are debits and 1 is credit, Hamza. So eventually, the shareholder profit will decrease by $260,000, or the shareholder profit will decrease by $360,000. Hamza, if we accumulate the misstatements, the 3 misstatements, Hamza, when we accumulate them, so $50,000 is negative, right? So when we accumulate them, automatically 300,000 is plus, 50,000 is minus, 10 is plus. So what is the impact on the shareholder profit? 260. No, Hamza, we don't look at that way. 300 plus 50 plus 10, because that's a simple mathematics, right? We look at it from the context of a double entry, right? We look at it from the context of the effect on the shareholder profit. So what is the effect on the shareholder profit? 300 is deducted from the profit, 50,000 is added to the profit, and 10,000 is deducted from the profit. So if you deduct something from the profit, you add something to the profit, what comes as the net figure? 260. So whenever you take the aggregation, you take 260, sorry. I hope you're getting that, Hamza. So every time you do the aggregation, debit minus credit, because you're following a double entry principle. Right, Hamza, I'm waiting for your answer for that. So whenever you do the aggregation, aggregation means net of debit and credits, net of debit minus credit, looking at the P&L, looking at the P&L. Is that clear to all of you? So when you are looking at the December 17 paper, you will look at the misstatements. Now, suppose, just one last thing before I wrap up. Suppose, because you ask silly questions at times, right? Suppose there are three situations. In the first situation, there is a disclosure not given. In the second situation, there is a expense not recognized by $50,000. And in the third situation, there is a provision which should be reversed by, there is a provision which should be reversed by $10,000. Now tell me, what is the aggregate here? What is the aggregate misstatement? Okay, can disclosure not given be aggregated? Can you aggregate the disclosure not given? No, because disclosure is qualitative, right? So can we aggregate the disclosure? No, we cannot aggregate the disclosure. So simply cross it off. Cross. Expense not recognized. So will it debit? Will it credit? It will be a debit, right? It will be a debit to the P&L, and provision should be reversed. It is a credit to the P&L, right? So what is the misstatement? Debit minus credit. So what is the aggregate misstatement in the exam paper? Is equal to $40,000 debit. So will the shareholder profit reduce by $40,000, everyone? Will the shareholder profit reduce by $40,000? Yes. So are you getting the clarity, Hamza and others? So I hope what you learned today on different aspects of the requirements, on different aspects of breaking the question, looking at the requirements carefully, I hope you will implement it, because you must have learned lots of things today in terms of requirements, breaking them, be watchful what the examiner is asking, whether it is an individual impact or is it an aggregate impact, and you go about it. Rohena, because when imagine you are sitting in a meeting with the management, right? And you have 4 misstatements to discuss with management, right? So you will start the meeting telling management that we have 4 misstatements, right? And this is the first misstatement. And you will tell that if this misstatement is not resolved, it will lead down to a qualified opinion. Then you get to the second misstatement with management. You say, okay, this misstatement, if not resolved, will have no impact on the audit opinion. Then you go to the third misstatement. Then you go to the fourth misstatement. First, in a meeting, you discuss things one by one. That is professionalism, right? You discuss things one by one first, and then you conclude the meeting. When you're concluding the meeting, you tell management that now there are 4 misstatements. This is the debit of them. This is the credit of them. So in aggregate, this is this much. So if you fail to adjust all 4 of them, then this is the net impact on the audit report. I hope that is how a meeting is conducted. Meeting gets first on individual agendas, then the meeting comes to a conclusion. So every time the meeting ends with a conclusion, right? So if you follow the professionalism, so matters discussed with the management are first individual, then they become aggregate. But you have to watch the question. Is the question asking for each, or is the question asking for aggregate? I hope you got the actual December 17 paper, which was asking for each on your screen now. Everyone, look at this word each in both the requirements. Then I made the twist, right? Then I made the twist. Then you need to watch my webinar December 17, Khan, for that. Then I made a twist, and in one requirement there was an each, and in the other requirement the each was removed. So we concluded that this requirement is asking for aggregate, right? So please be watchful. And I've just shown you the December 14 paper on your screen, right? In the December 14 paper, if you know the English grammar was very watchful here. If you look at this December 14 paper in front of your screen, if you're good in English, This is senseful, right? The first question asking for each, and each has to be discussed with management. Then the question is asking justify an opinion. So an means single. So sometime you need to be mentally present in the exam hall, not just physically present. I hope you're getting my track. Sometime you need to be mentally present in the exam hall, not physically present, to be successful in the AAA paper. So I hope you learned a lot today. We covered the previous webinars you need to watch. We covered the understanding of the audit report. Everything written here has been put on the Word file. You can just go over the presentation. Reporting questions, I discussed each type of reporting questions with you, but you need to watch the previous webinars. Going concern has been done in the previous webinar, and as per my knowledge, a question on going concern came in the September 21 exams in most of the countries globally. So I don't foresee that, but still, when you watch the 3 previous webinars, a going concern question will be discussed there. To me, a typical question asking for matters to be communicated, a typical question asking for matters to be discussed with management, impact on opinion, or a critical appraisal of the report, to me seems more important for December 21 exams. I'll be giving you my right verdicts tomorrow on the day 5. I will be giving you the tips and techniques tomorrow on the day 5. So I will, the day 5 tomorrow will be important. And the marking scheme. In a reporting question, everything is 1 mark, right? Just like the topic we were doing yesterday, ethical, professional, and quality control issue. Just like that topic, everything in a reporting question is worth 1 mark. So marking scheme is pretty simple for a reporting question. I hope you all agree with it, right? Is that clear to all of you? Clear? Okay, so let me just wrap it up, right? Okay, I hope you liked the session today. You enjoyed the session today, the 4th day of the webinar to success. And I hope you got some productive learnings from the day 4 today. I'll be sharing the presentation with you. I'll be sharing the Word file with you. I'll be sharing the audit report I shown you in the session today. And I'll be sharing the critical appraisal handout, which I was showing you in my presentation today. So everything will get on WhatsApp soon, and the recording in the next couple of hours, as I have been sharing with you over the last 3 days, right? So I hope you had a fabulous session today. You learned something out of it, which will go a long way in your success in the upcoming December 21 exams. So have a nice day, all of you. And I'll see you back with the final day of this webinar to success tomorrow, where we have the agenda looking at due diligence, and we have to look in the audit of performance information with tips and techniques. So how was the session today? If we can just drop a quick feedback on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being poor and 5 being excellent, before I just try to wrap it up. Okay, that's great. So thank you so very much, all of you. I'll see you back tomorrow with the final day of the webinar to success. This is your tutor, Kashif Kamran, signing off from the day 4 of the AAA webinar to success for December 21 exams. Have a nice day, stay safe, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Goodbye and Allah Hafiz. Many thanks for the feedback, all of you.